Welcome, everybody, to another rendition of Delete Laws. I'm doing a couple administrative things here real quick before this live starts. I got to turn on the Instagram feed, and then I got to turn on the Facebook feed. If you would please hit the like button and drop in the comment section OTVO, which stands for Overturn Terry versus Ohio, which is the most destructive unlegislated policy created by the Supreme Court in American history by far. Terry versus Ohio has decimated freedom and decimated our Fourth Amendment. And it goes back to Carroll versus United States 1925. I'm not going to go into great detail about that right now. But what I am going to go into detail about right now, at least 10 people have sent me this video. And I'm sure you may or you may not have seen it, but it goes a lot deeper. This goes a lot deeper in Alabama. The cops sucking is so unbelievable. But there's a couple things I want to get out right away because I have very, very limited time to create a trivia board game that is Constitution HQ. You guys can join my other channel, Constitution HQ. If one of the moderators will put it in the link in the comment section, I would appreciate it. But right now I want to talk about Alabama in general and Hanceville, Alabama. And I want to show you something that if you are a resident of Alabama, you may not know this, but your government is working that you pay for the education of the cops' kids. Oh, yeah. It's not a joke. You pay for the education of the cops' kids. Want a big shout out to FF Diesel Fuel. I can't remember the exact username of FF Diesel Fuel. Someone new. Tons of Australians are coming over here, and I really appreciate all the support coming from Australia. It's unbelievable. It just has grown and grown and grown. If I check my analytics, there's a big contingency of Australians who are now following Delete Laws and the team DLZ and what we're doing. What you're gonna see right here is just absolutely unbelievable. It is. You can pre-order my board game. It is coming out. Please go to Constitution HQ and order my board game. I have a ton of things going on. I can't go into detail about all those things. Some of those things I'm not broadcasting out loud. But I want to get into exactly what's going on in Alabama. If you guys haven't seen, maybe I should show you one video first, just show you a couple minutes of this. And then let's jump right into the education part where the people of Alabama are paying for cops' kids to go to school. It already passed through the House and now it's going up to the Senate. Why should you pay? Why should the cops' kids get a scholarship to go to school? Isn't everybody struggling? Isn't the entire country struggling? Why in the world is there a special scholarship for cops? Well, I'm going to give you those answers in just 1 second. Let's get into the nitty gritty detail. And this is, so a lot of you guys may have seen the Hanceville, Alabama short 17-minute video of the elderly man who was beat up by the cops. It's so unbelievable. But let's get into this right here.
And I want to say, excessive force, the 8th Amendment of the Constitution.
So he's talking about excessive force of the 8th Amendment. Well, let me explain something to you. The 1973 case of Johnson versus Glick, another black guy, Australia Johnson, sued for his 8th Amendment right being violated in the jails and the prisons. And what the Supreme Court did in 1973 is they limited the 8th Amendment to only if the state sentences you or uses a punishment to punish you with cruel and unusual punishment. It's been completely bastardized in the name of racism against Australia Johnson from the 1973 case of Johnson versus Glick. You can look it up and read about the case. But he's talking about excessive force, but it doesn't matter. The Supreme Court has completely neutered us.
It says the 8th Amendment. Forgive me, I'm a product of public education.
He just doesn't understand what Johnson versus Glick 1973 actually did.
In Alabama. Cruel and unusual punishment.
Sir, can we got to stick to the subject, okay?
Yes, sir.
He's going to stick to the subject, but wait for this bombshell right here.
Just one last thing, if you'll allow me. Just
listen to this.
Law enforcement dependent scholarships. They want us to pay for law enforcement's, their children's college education.
What? Listen to it again, and it is real. I'm going to show you the bill in a second.
They want us to pay for law enforcement's, their children's college education. I don't want to pay for your children's college education. if this is what the product that we're going to receive from it. I don't want, they're going to use public funds to pay for college tuition for the law enforcement's children.
It's unbelievable, but it's 100% true. A tiny bit of research and you'll find the article right here. Law Enforcement Scholarship Program passes the House in Alabama. Let's get into the detail. The Alabama House of Representatives Tuesday approved a bill that would allow dependents and spouses of Alabama cops to claim a $3,000 scholarship for post-secondary education. House Bill 188, sponsored by Representative Alan Treadwell, a Republican from Morris, Alabama, passed 101-0 in the House of Alabama, with some changes made by the House and Ways Means General Fund Committee. The committee added language allowing money collected from blackout license plates as a source of funding to pay for cops' kids' education. You can't make this shit up. The scholarship would also be funded by private donations and a $10 million allocation from the Education Trust Fund, according to the bill. The legislation is part of a broader public safety package aimed in part at improving recruiting of law enforcement officers. Birmingham, Montgomery, and other cities in the state have struggled to fill vacancies with their police rankings within the years. Well, let me explain to you the reason why. Because no good person could sign up to these policies, procedures, and protocols and remain a good person. You cannot put chains on people and drag them down to a dungeon and consider yourself to still be a good person without some sort of kickback of, why do I got to put them in torture cuffs? Why do they have to go in cuffs? We saw the other day when I reviewed that video that you have to go in cuffs. You have to go in cuffs to go in the back of the cop car, and they have to get your ID. But wait, there's more to this bill. This isn't it. A retired assistant Treadwell, the politician who put it through, is a retired assistant Birmingham police chief. What have I told you guys? All over the country, the Fraternal Order of Police is funding ex-cops to be legislators all over America. All over America. Everybody, did you hit the like button? Everybody right now, take a second, hit the like button. And if you're on Instagram or you're on Twitter right now, drop a comment. I'm watching. Let me see it right now. Put it in the comment section. I am watching. It goes way deeper than this. I'm going to show you the entire elderly gentleman's statement to the city council. It's 17 minutes. We're going to get into that in the end. But there's a couple things you got to see here first about this Hanceville city council meeting. Remember, the elderly gentleman who was assaulted by the police and he sued, that's one thing. But there's about 8 things in this city council meeting that are going to blow your doors off. This is just one of them. But wait, there's more. It gets even deeper. So an ex-cop, he puts it in, later told reporters he believes the bill will help incentivize current law enforcement to stay in the field, but doubted it would help recruit younger people. There was a time my kids were in high school and the things I thought about getting into the profession. We just want them to know we appreciate the job they're doing. It doesn't look like it. Representative Travis Hendricks, a Democrat from Birmingham, a police officer, said he'd be one of the first to apply for the scholarship for his son. Well, what about your kid? Where's the grant for your kid? Where's the scholarship fund for your kid if you're in Alabama? What a load of shit on a stick. And then another representative, remember, it's 101-0. Every Republican and every Democrat in the House of Alabama voted to give cops' kids scholarships to go to school. Representative, whatever his name is, Gab Givens, he thanked Treadwell, a former police officer, and House Speaker Nathan Ledbetter, Republican from Hanceville, for bringing the bill to recruit law enforcement because of the lack of law enforcement officers and the abundance of gun violence in Birmingham. 1,077 deaths, and this is just the city of Birmingham since 2017. Well, let me just tell you something. Cops kill thousands of people every single year. Thousands and thousands. Hey, thanks a lot for the super chat. I appreciate that. Thanks a lot for gifting memberships. Let me pop over to my friends on Instagram. What is going on, Instagram? Say hello if you're in the chat. I appreciate it. This just incensed me. And if you know me and you're close to me and you know what I'm doing, people like Let's OTVO, you know how freaking busy I am. We have to create apparatuses, structures to be able to fight back against this system. Do I miss going live? Do I miss auditing cops? Absolutely. But we have to create structures to take on the Fraternal Order of Police and to get bills passed through every different house in America. You can go to Constitution HQ, sign up. I'll be putting bills on there for your state where you can overcome Maryland versus Pringle, Utah versus Strieff, Terry versus Ohio. We have to do it state by state by state, and that's how it has to go. But wait, let's keep going. Let's get back into the city council meeting here.
We made that request.
So right here, he says he's going, this is just so bad. You have no idea. So you're paying for cops' kids' education.
Sir, can we gotta stick to the subject, okay?
Yes, sir. Just one last thing, if you'll allow me, just this one last thing. Law enforcement dependent scholarships. They want us to pay for law enforcement's, their children's college education.
Yeah, it's real.
I don't want to pay for your children's college education if
No, not if, period. I don't want to pay for cops' kids' education, period. End.
this is what the product that we're going to receive from it. I don't want, they're going to use public funds to pay for college tuition for the law
cops' kids.
enforcement's children.
For cops' kids.
I disagree with that.
Me too.
And I want to say this police department, I don't sleep well already. This police department came to my house 3 times, and there were all 3 mistakes.
Diehard members of Team DLZ in the
They
house.
came, the former police chief walked up behind me in my hobby shop, screamed at me, claimed that he thought that I was the burglar. I wasn't quick-witted enough to say, sir, chief, you're a year late because I had a $4,000 air compressor stolen a year before that. And even before that, I made every effort. Every time I saw the chief, I would say, hey, chief, hey, chief. And when he scared me that day, it's like he didn't recognize me. The second time, they banged on my door at 6 o'clock in the morning. I was having coffee, checking my email. The police officer was misdirected from going to 91 at Tony Kretschmar's instead of, he was misdirected to my house at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's alarming to have someone beating on your door. And then 9 o'clock at night, another one, but it was 2 law enforcement, 2. And they beat on the front door and the back door. You talk about going to DEFCON 1. I was at DEFCON 2, and I was on high alert.
I'm sorry, but I'm gonna have to ask you to close it out, okay?
Yes, sir.
We've got other people that want to speak.
Yes, sir. Well, thank you. And actually, Mayor, I tried to come and talk to you about this, and you did the same thing that you're doing now. I'll talk to you later about it.
Right.
So that happened. My name is on the roll. I came here and that night, and I tried to talk to you about it, but this is our government. So we have something worth fighting for here, but we can fix something beyond just Hanceville too. God bless America.
God bless
And
America.
you're my neighbor. You're my neighbor.
Exactly.
And I wish you the best.
So then why are cops a protected class? Why do we got to pay for cops' kids' education?
I love you, kid. We graduated together.
Graduated high school together.
Hey, Denise. Hey, Denise.
Thanks, Enigma. Appreciate you. Thank you for the super chat, Enigma.
Good evening, everyone.
Now listen to this. This right here. So if you only saw, and we're going to show the entire 17-minute clip of the old man who was beaten and he had to pull his wife back in the car by her hair because she has dementia. She was trying to jump out of the moving car. He's 70-something years old, late 70s, been married for 52 years. We're going to show that whole thing. But now I want you to listen to the 911 dispatcher and how many tells she gives. This is Like, this made me so mad that I'm shaking, and I had to stop what I was doing and show it to you guys. If you guys can't see, the screen is shaking a little bit because I'm so angry. I have a right to be angry. I have an absolute right to be angry. Listen to this 911 dispatcher.
My name is Michelle Allen Scott. I have been an employee by the city of Hanceville for 15 years.
Oh, she needs a back rub because she lost her job.
In my 15 years here, I have poured my heart and soul into everything I do.
Thanks, Stomper.
I have coordinated events such as Mud Creek Arts and Crafts Festival. I have headed up the Kids Night Out and made sure the children in this community had school supplies. And I have also done the Kids Fisherama along with the senior citizens. There has been wrongdoing by former officers, and I want to emphasize former officers that none of the current police department employees condone.
What a load of shit on a stick. That's a bunch of shit. That's a total, complete, and utter lie. If you don't know the story of Hanceville, what the cops were doing was going through a little window in the evidence room, unlocking the door and stealing the drugs out of there. And she's saying that there's a bunch of good cops on the Hanceville Police Department that don't condone what the bad cops were doing. Let me tell you something. If you've ever been around drugs or done drugs or had a friend who was a druggie, you know when people are doing drugs. It is so plainly obvious. Especially, I'm a Hollywood kid. I've been in Hollywood for 25 years. Took off for a couple years, but I'm back in Hollywood. You know when someone's doing drugs. She's lying. She's absolutely lying. She's sitting up there lying because her job. And just wait, it gets worse.
And the Hanceville citizens' trust has been lost. I mean, it has been lost, and it deeply saddens me. So I ask, how can we change it? How can Hanceville Police Department have a police department? We need a police department.
No, you don't. No, you don't.
Appropriate actions have been made to remove those former officers where a clean slate has already begun.
Oh, a clean slate
No
has? Is that
current
right?
officer has ties, relationships, or extensive work history with the former officers that have been charged. There's a plan for success, and we were already working to make those changes needed. You have a small circle of officers, dispatchers, and myself, which is about 12 of us. And we have been cleared for any wrongdoing and any possible accusations that.
Oh, they have been cleared by any wrongdoing. By who exactly? Who cleared them of any wrongdoing? They investigated themselves and they cleared themselves of wrongdoing. And it's not wrongdoing, it's a fucking crime what they're doing.
And we have been cleared for any wrongdoing.
Oh, you've been cleared, huh?
That
You've been cleared. Okay.
That we have a
You've been cleared.
commitment for the future. We want to see our police department move forward. Going forward, we propose to uphold a crucial element, to have a policy manual is equally monitored and upheld by the mayor, the legal team, and HR. If you don't have that, you don't have accountability, and you don't have any control over the department. Extensive background checks that potential candidates, but strict policies keeps misconduct at a minimum and corrects or removes officers from the department when policy standards are not consistently met.
Oh, is that right? Is that the truth? Listen to the bullshit lie.
Candidates, but strict policies keeps misconduct at a minimum and
Oh, does it? Is that what's going on? Is that why half of the country hates cops? Because strict policies remove bad officers? Is that right? Thanks, Stomper.
corrects or removes officers from the department when policy standards are not consistently met. This can be done and should be done in a reset of the Hanceville Police Department. Having a rotating citizens advisory council with members selected by the mayor, the council, PD leaders, and the fire department leaders to review citizens' complaints, policy recommendations, and violations to help us make our town what it needs to be. We need to assign a council member to as a police department liaison.
For what? You want to assign a council member as a police officer liaison? They work with the cops. Don't you get it? It's got to be a third-party organization. Wait till Constitution headquarters comes out where you can download the bills for your state. I've spent a lot of time doing this. Most of my time is spent creating new stuff so that we have structures so we can take on the police state, prison state, death state.
To where they're in constant communication with the chief on all matters.
Oh, really?
The chief needs to have a liaison from the council that they need to report everything to. Y'all need to know everything that's going on.
And that's going to change everything. The chief knows what's going on.
Your police department. Y'all have a right to know everything that's going on in your police department. So in closing, with total respect to the grand jury, their opinion and their recommendations obviously should be considered. But what about the citizens and business owners of Hanceville? Therefore, the people of Hanceville should have a say for what they want and how they think the reset can happen. Thank you.
Bullshit.
The 911 dispatch.
Okay, this is the one. Listen to this chick. This is unbelievable.
My name is Rashan Fullenwater. I'm the 911 dispatch and corrections supervisor for the police department. I come to you today to inform you on how we have improved and how we intend to continue improving should we be given the opportunity.
Okay, should you be given the opportunity for her to keep her job as a 911 dispatcher?
No one employed with the police department actually lives here in Hanceville.
Did you listen to that? So if they're not your neighbor, you don't see them every day, you don't give a shit about them. And when you listen to the old man in the end, that's every jail. You're going to hear that in a minute. I just wanted to make sure you guys knew about the educational fund in Alabama that pays for cops' kids' education. So here's the first big tell. None of the cops who are the patrol officers for Hanceville live in Hanceville, meaning they arrest or beat up your brother or your cousin or your uncle. Doesn't affect them at all. They don't live there. They go back to where they live, and they're living the parasite life, sucking off of all of us. It's just, and now listen to the second tell, she says.
We choose to come here every day and give it our very best to.
You don't choose. Just stop it. You're getting paid, honey. You're not a service. You're getting paid with a pension, and your kids are getting college education scholarships.
Serve you.
To serve you? Stop the bullshit.
Because we love the citizens of this city.
Oh, you do you?
We do not want to see your police department fall.
Oh, we don't want to see your police department fall? None of them are from Hanceville.
Which is why 12 of us have chosen to stay and remain loyal to you.
Oh, you're loyal to them? What a load of shit.
Upon my promotion in September.
Upon her promotion in September
of 24, we have been updating, implementing new and improved policies and procedures department-wide. We have been faced with challenges of resourcing free training due to the lack of funding, even though state required for both officers and dispatch personnel. We have had ample equipment removed, and due to this, we have been forced to locate old equipment to use for not only our safety, but yours.
Oh, really? The equipment's for your safety? Is that like when they're going to put you in torture cuffs? I'm going to put you in torture cuffs for your safety and mine. Tell me how it makes me safer when you torture cuff me. I'm just wondering, how is that a thing? I thought I saw Steve Conkler in here. There you are, Northeast Colorado Cop Block. Oh, man, they cut off your membership, huh? Anybody else get unsubscribed? Anybody else get unsubscribed? Can you guys do me a favor? Put in the comment section, Team DLZ, we don't stop. This chick is so full of shit. Oh, equipment for your safety? You mean cages and tasers and torture cuffs?
We have informed new field training programs for both patrol officers, 911 and 911 dispatchers, including jail school safety trainings and other requirements.
Jail school
we have
safety training. Okay.
Reported and had conversations with a post radius about past and present officers. We have demanded loyalty, integrity, and trust, which has resulted in the departure of some employees.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Let's run that back.
Past and present officers.
Let's see. Ready? Listen.
We have demanded loyalty, integrity, and trust.
Really? Is that true? Let me put a 1 in the chat if that's not going on in your neck of the woods. They've demanded integrity, loyalty, and trust. Is that right? Is that why so many people hate the cops? Is that why so many people can't stand you dirty, nasty JBT piece? Is that why? I'm just wondering, is that the reason why? Because so many people can't stand cops because there's loyalty, integrity, and trust. Is that what it is? What state was that in? I showed the video the other day where the guy had to go in torture cuffs and they were there to help him out, ended up charging him with 2 felonies. They were just there to help him out, remember? I lost my sub to Chuck B and I can't resub as of yet. Yeah, I mean they're unsubscribing people from this channel left and right. Make sure you're still subscribed if you would, please.
which has resulted in the departure of some employees. Unfortunately, this has led to staffing issues, longer response times, and has risked the safety of our officers while in the field. Our hiring protocol has changed, but is also in the process of continued change. We have expressed our concerns to the appropriate leaders in reference to the jail and the possible liabilities that can surface due to the limited staffing that we have. We all agree that having inmates is a safety concern and have asked to house them at CCDC, but no change was made. Due to this, we work the jail the best we can with the limited resources that we have.
No, the jail is a freaking dungeon. Wait till you hear the old man talk about it. Hold on, stay tuned.
The citizens and business owners of Hanceville deserve to have a police department who quickly responds to their calls, cares about their well-being and their safety. Since fall of 2024, we have been actively making changes to better this department, and we ask for the opportunity to continue. In closing, the death of 911 dispatch supervisor Christopher Willingham was an unfortunate and tragic time for not only our police department, but also for his family.
If you don't know what happened in Hanceville, what they did is they were stealing drugs, and the head of the 911 department, he was doing those drugs, just like I showed you on a video earlier today.
In closing, the death of 911 dispatch supervisor Christopher Willingham.
Christopher Willingham was doing drugs with the other cops who were stealing the drugs out of the evidence room.
Was an unfortunate.
Unfortunate? No, it's called being a drug addict.
And tragic time for not only our police department, but also for his family.
Oh, it's a tragic time for our police department, but that you don't represent us. You guys are scum.
The accusations assumed by the grand jury were disrespectful and unnecessary. Thank you for your time.
I think Jennifer Hill's got best comment of the day so far that I've seen. Limited resources, but they can create a fund for cops' kids to go to college. Is your kid getting a fund to go to college? This video gets worse. Just wait. Just wait. Just wait. You're going to find out what the mayor's daughter did, how she set up some kids with Mary Jane to get the kids arrested, but not the mayor's daughter. Wait till you see this. Wait till you listen to this. It's all exposed right here. Okay, now here, I think this is the cop sucker.
I appreciate this opportunity to come up here and speak. I am a daughter of Hanceville. I'm Sherry Saunders. I graduated from Hanceville. I graduated from Wallace State. For the past 25 years, along with the work that I've done, I've been an advocate for many reasons. For some of the reasons that we are talking about this evening, I want to share. Mr. Campbell, I was friends with your daughter, Angela.
Who died?
In second grade.
Just,
I was at her funeral. I want everyone in this room to know that it was a sad moment that we were burying Angela. A wonderful person. If y'all don't know Angela Campbell, she had spina bifida. She lived a very hard life, had a lot of things happen to her, and she smiled every day, went to church as often as she could, and loved the Lord. And if y'all don't know that about Mr. Campbell, then we about to have someone done for the move. This was Bill Hare move circle. He was not me.
Stay with me. Hold on a second. We're gonna go past her because the next one's the cop sucker. I'm so sorry. I went past it. Here it is. Here it is right here.
Hatter led all the drug task force to Hanceville.
Okay, listen to this.
You have a lawsuit right now from a former.
Listen to this.
So I'm putting in my application to become an officer in your department in this town so that we can move forward with high integrity people who have listened to these people for years and assisted them to get their voice heard from you guys. So I stand before you to talk about two issues.
Listen to this.
You have a lawsuit right now from a former officer, Hatter. This officer was a problem officer when he was brought to Hanceville. When he left Walker County, he left because there was another dead officer, one of his best friends. In fact, it was his boss at the drug task force, his boss. There was questions under his death that they called also a suicide. We know that our officer Hatter left a week after this dispatcher unfortunately lost his life in this department. We have a history since Bob Long came in as chief of our department. Since Bob Long, we have a history of hiring low integrity people, probably low IQ, and I mean no disrespect. What I am trying to say is, when you want to move forward and you want to make changes in this department, a town that I've been in since 1981, and many people will share stories that they have experienced of themselves in this town. But let me share this.
Listen to this story right here. This is about the mayor's daughter.
My family member was working at the McDonald's right up the street with
Listen
the daughter
to
of
this.
Kenneth Nail, the former mayor who also lost his job and got arrested. What this woman did, this young child, she must have been told by her daddy. So I'm going to share a story that a lot of people in this room may not know, but I know a few do since they've talked to me on Facebook. She was being used as a informant in the drug task force.
The mayor's daughter is being used as an informant in the drug task force at McDonald's. Follow this up.
She, on the duty with my family member and a couple of other kids working there, were told by her that she had a joint. If they could all just go out to her car and smoke it, everything would be great, and we come back and make some more chicken nuggets.
So the mayor's daughter told the other kids working at McDonald's, because most people working at McDonald's are kids. She tells the other kids, let's go out to the car and smoke one, and we'll come back in and make more chicken nuggets.
But what happened was this. The daughter of the mayor who supplied the joint was sitting in her car when Hanceville, whoop, 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 pulled up, 3 cop cars, yanking kids out of this car, everybody getting shackled up. Everybody's going to jail for marijuana, but
The mayor's daughter.
of the mayor. Why would we want to move forward in a community and ask for a police force when the integrity of it is you got the mayor's family setting kids up at a McDonald's for smoking a joint that she brought herself? We need to make sure that when we bring in this new department, or if we allow the sheriff's department, I would love to work for the sheriff's department as long as I was put into this town so that I could be a part of moving this town forward, helping to heal some of the wounds that have long in play. Because I know that there are people in this room that has family members that may have directly been affected by
Did he just roll his eyes?
in play. Because I know that there are people in this room that has family members that may have directly been affected by officers, their testimony, and illegalities of their investigations that has now placed them in prisons. I know people have lost their children because of allegations made by officers in this department. So I ask humbly, as a daughter of Hanceville, as someone who's standing before you, allow me to help you move forward. Allow me to help you bring back integrity into this department. Because if there is one thing I am known for, it is not my good looks or my hair, because y'all know I've had a ponytail since 1992. I don't know how to do much more than this right here. But what I can do is work in a department, help to build a team, be a part of that team, and show leadership so that everybody on the team wants to be on the same page that I am. High speed. I'm a veteran. I'm a bulldog. Allow the right people to move forward in this community, in this department, if you see fit to bring it forward into this community. And I appreciate this opportunity to speak. And please say a prayer for those people whose lives will never get back the way they used to be before this department made decisions that it made. Let's pray and let's try to heal the wounds of this community.
Can't do it.
Forward. Put the right person in the job.
Can't do it.
My name, once again, is Sherry Saunders, and I'll give you my application today.
Okay, so let me explain something to you real quick, okay? So you cannot sign up to any police department in America and follow these policies, procedures, and protocols and remain a good and decent person. As long as there's a thing called pain compliance, where two people can hold someone down and you can run in and punch them in the face and say, oh, I was trying to get them to comply with pain. What do we know from the last 25 years of jujitsu and MMA? The best way to detain someone is not by punching them, but by grabbing them. What do we know from 25 years of the UFC? I'm not going to lay on my belly and give you my back. I can't do it. I want to do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I don't trust you. You're screaming at me. You got some crazy dog barking like crazy that you can't control. It can't be done. She can't sign up to be a little piggy and remain a good person. The next one is a copsucker.
Amen.
And everybody in this room. It's plain and simple. A grand jury knows more than everybody in this room, and a district attorney. Corruption's nothing new here. These microphones have been in this town since I was a kid. There was a chief, a police, extorting votes, news cameras here. Taser problem, it's constant.
It's constant.
And the people that's been hired to be a police here, a lot of times were a criminal before they got here. And a lot of times, if they weren't when they got here, they will be when they leave.
That's right, because you're told that they're good people. They don't need someone to look over their shoulder. They're all good. We can trust the cops.
An 18-person grand jury knows more than everybody in here. And for it to even
Actually, he doesn't know. I'm sorry. I hate to tell you this, but let me jump in here. A grand jury, there's no judge. There's only the prosecutor. The prosecutor presents to the grand jury little bits of information. The grand jury can then choose to indict or not indict because they haven't seen the full video. The prosecutor may just tell them what happened on the scene and then say, do you want to indict the good police officer? And the grand jury says, no, we don't, not on based on what we heard here. So he doesn't know what he's talking about. I understand his intentions are good, but he doesn't know how the system works. So that's not how it works. That's not how it works at all whatsoever.
I don't even know how you can even consider ignoring that.
What's your name?
My name is Michael Ray Walker, 1601 Ashwater Street. Walker, W-A-L-D-R-O-P. Thank you for allowing me.
And I wasn't gonna say anything, but what the hell? My name's Andrew Podner, P-O-D-N-E-R. Right across the street from the library, but the only time I ever see y'all is when you want money or a donation. I really didn't want to say anything because I didn't want to weigh in on this, but at the end of the day, the one thing that's bothered me is it took me 4 seconds on Google, sitting right there tonight, to figure out that it takes the mayor and 2 council members to call a special meeting, which requires 24-hour notice.
Yeah.
If all of y'all can't figure that out and get this to a venue where people can be heard, and if you can't figure out how to get a microphone where people can be heard,
Yeah.
I'm not sure you should be making decisions
There you
about who
go.
runs the town.
There you go, brother. That's it. Anyone else?
Yeah, you got the wife of a cop's going to come up here. I'm waiting for her to show up here.
Diamonds come down after the Gates Wallace. So that I called Dad Crocker.
Shut up.
So now had any clue was going on or
Nobody's stopping me, so I guess you know, as an outsider, I live in Coleman. As an outsider, I followed all of this. I agree 100%. How can Hanceville be a den of criminals? I know people here. My son works for the police department. He's not a criminal.
Oh, really? I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry.
My son works for the police department. He's not a criminal.
Okay, if he's not a criminal, this guy gets up there and says that his son works for the police department. He's not a criminal. Then why didn't he arrest the bad cops? Let me tell you something. If you've ever done chemicals and been around another person who does chemicals, you don't even have to try. You can just go, what'd you say? This person's on chemicals. It takes you that long to figure it out. His son witness these other cops who were stealing the fentanyl out of the drug room, who were stealing the blow, stealing the crack, stealing the crank, stealing the speed out of the evidence room. And he's saying his son's not a criminal. Of course it's not your son. Your uncle was a cop and he was a good one. Really? Sorry, bud. Don't think so. You cannot lie on reports, cover up for cops, and then say that you're the good cop. If your son was a good cop, then how many bad cops has he arrested? It's just this delusion. Not my cousin. My cousin's not the bad cop. Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Your cousin's the bad cop. He most certainly is. Just like your daddy. People will say, oh, my dad was a cop 30 years ago and they didn't act like this. They were worse when they thought there was no cameras on anywhere. Before Rodney King, they were even worse. And cops will come in my DMs and call me names and try to, oh, why do you call them pigs and all this? Bro, look at the organization. These are white people, finally white people. It's happening to middle-class white people now. Change is imminent. The black community has been telling us for decades and decades and decades these guys are pigs. They're raping, killing, murdering us in the streets. And it didn't affect our communities. I was raised in a white community. It didn't affect us until it did. Until these policies, procedures, and protocols affected all of us. But remember, his son is not a criminal. He's a good one.
I don't believe any of these people that work for the police department anymore are criminals.
There it is. He doesn't believe that any of them are criminals. Got it.
But just like you said, the ones, the 4 or the 5, they're gone. They've been gone. So how can we say that it's a corrupt department and it's a criminal enterprise? I think the police department deserves another opportunity. I think it's up to you guys to make sure that the right people are leading.
Let me just jump in again. Sorry, this is a reaction video. You cannot sign up to these policies, procedures, and protocols with new people and think it's going to be any better. As long as you're tasering and macing and torture cuffing people, it's not a good system. You can't pour good water into poison water and then the poison water is all better. And currently the policies, procedures, and protocols are poison. And now that they're being caught on camera, that's the only difference. We're seeing the policies, procedures, and protocols caught on camera. That's the only difference. It's not like you can hire new people and it's going to be any better.
Someone said there needed to be a liaison between one of you and the department. That'd go a long way. Thank you.
Bullshit.
Can I say something, please? Just really, Hank needs now. It's all out. It's out. It's all out now. It's all out in the press. It's all in the opening. Hanceville needs a second chance to start over. I love my little town. I love my department. I love this place. But this isn't all. I got 3 boys. They targeted all 3 of my boys. It wasn't just the one.
Right. But she wants to give him another chance.
It wasn't just one. And I do have 3 good boys. These people right over here, this preacher over here, Rusty, they know I got 3 good boys. I got no story. This ain't all. This ain't all. Patty, I appreciate what you just said. I really do.
Okay, John. Watchman said, sit up here and
They're going to cop suck. I don't want to hear it. I'm going to get this next woman who comes up here. Okay, now this woman.
Had businesses.
This is unbelievable. This is unbelievable.
We weren't going to have employees speak. We're only going to have people that lived in the city limits.
Read the room, honey.
Or that had businesses in the city limits or had businesses in the police jurisdiction speak. But we have had a few employees come and speak tonight. And as most of you know, I'm Tanya Wilcox, the city clerk. I've been here 20 years.
What else, Tanya?
And been through a lot, a lot
What
of
else?
things.
Come on, Tanya, get to it. Come on.
But I guess it's time, since we're going to be transparent.
Oh, yeah, go ahead, Tanya.
We've all had to keep quiet. still keeping quiet. And there's a lot that is still not known. And there's a lot that's still being investigated.
Come on, Tanya, get to it.
We can't do it all. We have requested, and the council has done everything that they can to request that the correct and right authorities come in and do and help.
The correct and right authorities, you mean send in other cops to investigate the current cops? Is that what that means, Chris Wood? Is that what that means? That's what that means, isn't it, brother? Brian, isn't that what that means? But she's
Help
not done.
was
She's not done.
requested
She's not done.
5 months before the dispatch supervisor died.
When they were all doing drugs together, they stole out of the drug room, out of the evidence room.
And we were promised and told that help was coming.
Cops were investigating cops. They found out about the drug use and they didn't do anything. But wait, Tanya's not done.
And it did not.
She's not done.
And then we had a death, wherein our own police department and police force at that time did everything they possibly could to keep us from getting any information.
I'm with you, Brian.
The police chief, Josh Howell, back in April and before of 2024, threatened me on 3 occasions. Police Deputy Chief Adam Hatter threatened me on several occasions. I have had my life threatened over what went on at this police department. I knew them for many years and was completely fooled for a while and thought that they were good people, did a good job, until I knew they were breaking the law. And I said, no, this is not right, and I'm not going to do this. At that point, I became the most hated woman and city employee in Hanceville.
Huh.
I have had groups of people, employees that are still employed with the city police department, that got together as a group. And these meetings have been overheard, and these statements have come forward. Heard these people plotting and planning to get rid of me, to do something to me, allegations put out there by the people that turned Mayor Kenneth Nell into the Ethics Commission, to go to his family and tell them it was me, so that I would be the most hated woman in Hanceville. All these things put on Facebook about me, all of them are untrue.
Thank
Every accusation in Adam Hatter's lawsuit is not true. I realized things were being put out ahead of time about me in the police department to get people to hate me. For the only reason is they wanted to get rid of me because they knew I would not let them get away with the things that they were doing. And I brought it to light. And there are many more things. If the proper authorities don't bring it to light, I'm going to. There's a whole lot that I would like to say, but I'm not prepared. When I will have a book, and it will have every detail in it. And you all know that I'm a pretty detailed person, and I've got it written down, dates and times. And you know, I'm tired of the lying. I'm tired of people coming in and portraying that they're honest and that they want the best for this city when I know that they don't. I am not against the police department, and that is for the citizens here of Hanceville and the business owners to decide. To let your council members who represent this community and who will make the decision, let them know what you want. But I understand being here, been through turnover after turnover after, I can't tell you how many police chiefs have been through, how many court clerks we've been through since I've been here. And it's hard to get a person with integrity, wisdom, and knowledge, experience to carry on the operations that Hanceville has tried so hard to carry on. I mean, we've tried. And I say we, I mean, I've worked here for a long time. The council, you know, they make the decision. I try to carry out what they decide to do. And we have tried and have time and time again, the best that I believe I could. And it takes more than that. It takes more than that to get a person in here that has the ability to take someone's livelihood away, to incarcerate someone, to take someone's property away and lock it up. It takes a lot of that. It takes a lot of know-how and understanding to be able to vet that person. You don't want somebody coming in here that doesn't have any experience. But it's hard to find an honest person with integrity nowadays, you know, that has education and everything that would be required.
No. Let me help her out here.
With integrity now, experience. But it's hard to find an honest person with integrity nowadays.
Yeah, it's hard to find a cop who you give absolute power over another person. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. You cannot find a person who can remain with integrity when you give them absolute power over another person.
You know, that has education and everything that would be required to do that job.
Not if you hire the right person.
Well, and that's the problem, hiring the right person. Because like I said, I was fooled for many years by many officers here. And I thank the council.
Thank the council for what?
I appreciate them.
You appreciate for what? For what? For what? You're going to hear from the old man. I'm going to play the entire 17 minutes of the old man who got beat up by the cops. He went to the council members. He told them the cops were corrupt. You appreciate the council members? People always say we live in a democracy. No, we don't. We live in a constitutional republic, meaning that we have what's called a Republican representation system, meaning that a small group of people are voted into power to represent the majority of people. We live in a constitutional republic. We don't live in a democracy. So these people who are the Republican representatives, not Republican in the form of Republican versus Democrat, it's called a Republican representation. They failed the people. So why is she saying she appreciates them?
And I've enjoyed my job here.
I bet you have.
But I want the community and everybody to know it's very complicated there's so much to it. And they're trying, you know, to do the best they can to make the right decision for Hanceville. And I appreciate them for that. And I appreciate all of you coming because it shows that you do care about our community and you care about what happens here.
No, they care about themselves being beaten and cheated and arrested and charged and tased by the cops. Maddie wrote here, it's not that there isn't honest people. Oh man, I believe that there are good men and women who sign up to be cops. I believe it with all my heart. It's when you become a cop, their training forms them into lying, stealing cowards. Officer safety first, Terry versus Ohio. That's the problem.
And I would love to anybody has accusation against me here that would like to say it instead of just saying it on Facebook. And I'm welcoming it right now. I mean, like I'm an open book. If you've got something to say about me, or that I've done,
it's about her. It's about her.
I'd be glad to, you know.
It's about her. It's about her.
Right now with you.
It's about her.
I just want to say one thing.
Mm-hmm.
Since you're talking about Hal,
Yes.
Amen. Come on with it.
Long,
Yep.
and Duncan, they all need to be found and prosecuted.
Yes.
Exactly.
They are snakes and they are
Pieces
they're
of
out there
shit.
doing
She's talking about the cops.
That's right.
And Hanceville today, I know they're here somewhere. I know that paper has put a lot of stuff in there that's not accurate and true. And don't appreciate that. I don't appreciate any of the comments that's been made on Facebook about me personally.
It's
and
about her.
using my name. A lot of people think that I'm the court clerk. They think that I'm the one that works in the tag office. And they're on there bashing that person. They're using my name, but they think I'm that clerk. I'm not that clerk. I'm not that clerk. And I'm the city clerk. you know?
I do. Let me just say something. I do understand what it's like to be attacked by people for no good reason. I do understand that. So I understand why she's making the plea for herself, because she's been demonized by that town, demonized by people who are in authority on that council, who are cops that have denigrated her reputation and called her names. So she wants to defend herself. It's really hard. Trust me, you guys know this. Put Team DLZ if you've been a member for a long time and you understand the journey I've gone through. I've been called a racist. I've been called a statist. I've been called a Fed agent. I've been called a snitch. I've been called a narc. So it's just incredible. So I understand her wanting to defend herself, but she's not reading the room very well. She needs to understand this is about the town. This is about all of them being railroaded by the cops, and it's not about her. And I understand what it's like. I understand. I really do. So I give her a little bit of sympathy for what she's been through, because she did stand up. I give her credit for that.
I have not done all those things. I did not fire anyone. I'll tell you for sure that Adam Hatter did come to the mayor after it was found that he had city vehicles, brand new ones. He had one parked in, he said, in his garage, brand new, and he was driving a brand new police vehicle also at the time. We had an ATV, brand new one, and a trailer come up missing. A month, 6 weeks after he left, he had it the whole time on his property.
Sure did.
Never hit the city grounds here after it was purchased.
Thanks, Top.
He, after all that was, he requested, asked Mayor Sawyer, would he let him retire?
Would he let him retire?
Nothing was ever said that he's going to be fired or he's going to anything, but he knew, we knew these things. Mayor Sawyer said, yes, I'll let you retire. Josh Howell, the next day, came in and submitted his resignation.
Yes.
I did not fire them. I don't have the authority to fire anyone. And I'm not the reason everybody is leaving Hanceville. A lot of the reasons is because they've done things that are not legal.
Right,
So,
Zach.
You know,
Zach.
I guess I'm tired of being quiet. So
About time.
yeah. So anyway,
time.
I appreciate it, but I really would appreciate you didn't put things on Facebook about me that aren't true.
Okay, honey, I'm kind of getting sick.
So let me remind everybody, this is where you have your council meetings, had all your council meetings. It is a true. You have a special meeting, but you still have to be here for that line.
Counselor Stan.
Here. So I would make, if you add to that motion, I would make a motion that we have a special call meeting 7 days from now to change venue and to have another special call meeting to try to get that week to get this information gathered as much as possible to make an educated decision on what it would look like.
I'm Evelyn Sams. I understand what you just said about having problems getting a bigger place for today, but there's a lot of people that aren't being able to hear all this. You might consider having a second meeting and having it in a bigger place before decisions are made. And I would like to say that I've been living here for almost 10 years. And during that time, I have gone through some things myself where I was treated unfairly and unjustly by the police department. It was not the ones who have been arrested, but the ones before him.
Yes.
And I know what it feels like to be abused by them. I've never had a speeding ticket or anything else, but I was put in a chokehold in my yard and almost killed. And I can assure you it happened. I've got proof of it. And that sort of thing never needs to happen anywhere. And it happened because of things that certain family members did. They lied and caused it to happen. It should never have happened. They should have talked to me and we could have worked things out. Instead, I lived in my car for 2 months and I was harassed every day by the police department here, every day.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's not a fun thing to live that way. I
No.
can assure you.
Yeah.
But I definitely believe in the police department.
She believes in the police. Did you hear this? Did you hear this? Just listen to this all in context right here. I'll go back 10 more seconds. Listen.
Talked to me and we asked every day by the police out. Instead, I lived in my car for 2 months
I lived in my car for 2 months and listen to this.
and I was harassed every day by the police department here,
I was harassed every day by the police department here.
every day. And it's not a fun thing to live that way.
It's not a fun thing to be harassed every day by the police department, but wait, there's more.
I can assure you. But I definitely believe in the police department.
This is the average American right there. They can see the policies, procedures, and protocols applied to others. They can see people standing there in torture cuffs. You can hear them complaining, saying, "Oh, these are really hurting my wrists," but they still believe in their police department. I have invented an alternative for handcuffs. As soon as I finish the 2 projects I'm working on now, I will unveil the 3rd project, and you will see. You will see. I have created a new way to detain people from the front that doesn't cause immense pain, and you're not being tortured, but you're definitely detained. I came up with it in jail.
I believe in Hanceville. I believe in you guys. And I believe that y'all are going to find a solution to this that will be the one we need. And I pray to God you do, because I went to Coleman for help when all this went on, and I didn't receive the justice and the help there that I needed. I went to the victim's right advocate, and he was helping me. Then he backed out of helping me, and he told me that his job was on the line, that he couldn't do anything to help me. So personally, I feel like Coleman County has got some problems of its own. I don't think we need it here. I think it needs to be someone other than Coleman. And I just ask that you guys are very, very careful and pray about it and check it out thoroughly before you do anything. We're dealing with it, so we'll deal with it till we get it done. Thank God for y'all. Thank you.
I have 3 boys, and I went to school here. I've lived here since I was 4. And I know most of the people here. But I have 3 boys, and one of them, every time he left to go to work, Hanceville would stop him and give him tickets. And he could not get the tickets paid up. On the department here, Rusty knows this. It's all true. It was on the board out here in the Hanceville Police Department.
Listen to this.
Do not pull over my son again, because he had so many tickets, but the boy had to work. And everybody knew he had to work. Everybody knew his truck. Everybody knew who he was. Everybody knew my boys. But they still pulled him over because he had so many tickets. And there was one cop that helped my son get rid of those tickets and get his license. One.
I wish I could.
And then this judge dropped a couple charges on my son. But there's several cops here that harassed my boys, all 3 of my boys. 2 of my boys worked for the city. Correct? I know that. A lot of y'all know that. I love my town. I love Hanceville. I love this police station. I love this city hall. But
I love the police station. People are so brainwashed to believe that cops are our friends, and they are not.
we need to get the corruption out of here, and we need to get in the right people to do the right job.
Let me explain it once again. I can't turn the volume up. It's the YouTube video. Let me explain it once again for the 40th time. You cannot have these policies, procedures, and protocols. Can't have them and remain a good person. Can't do it. Turn around, put your hands behind your back. That whole line has to come to an end. You don't need to be chained up like you're a slave, and that's their system. You're going to hear the old man in a moment, the old man who got assaulted by the cops and put in jail and what they did to him. It's a 17-minute long piece. I don't want to interrupt it. That's why I'm waiting to show it last. I just wanted to show you guys about how we're paying for cops' kids' education.
I was proud of my little city. I'm still going to live here in Hanceville, but I want this done and over with.
Won't
Because
change.
I'm tired of the harassment myself.
It won't change.
And I'm tired of the corruption.
It won't change.
A lot of you are corrupted.
Yeah.
I've lived here. I know. I don't care what you say. Some of the officers that just got what they got, they are harassed my family. They've harassed me. I hope they get what they deserve. I got more story to tell, and this ain't the place for it. But I've got more story to tell. But this that I just told is true. And most of you know what I just said is true.
Yeah, it's true. We believe you.
It's true.
We believe you.
And if you knew his name and you look it up, what I just said here is the God's honest truth. Put my hand on the Bible. It's true. They was harassing
Put a 1 in the chat if you believe her.
my kids.
Of course they were. You're a piggy
And
bank.
also, Hanceville police said they had a video of one of my boys banging on the youth pastor's window. That's BS. This pastor here knows me from years ago. He knows I raised 3 boys by myself. You know who I am, sir. I raised some good boys. So I do not have nothing to hide. This man knows me right here, too. I don't have a thing to hide. I've lived here all my life, and one of you up on that stand right now went to school with, you know me. I'm so brokenhearted over my town. But this is wrong.
It's every town, honey. It's every town in America.
And I want it to stop, but I got more to tell. And Mayor, you said this was not the place for it. That's right. We
Oh,
ain't
you
got
don't got the
But
time.
we need to find the time.
Yes,
sir.
exactly.
Yeah, we are.
We don't got
We've
the
been
time.
limited for years, sir.
Yeah.
We've been limited for years here.
Evening, Mayor, Council, Dan Willing, I'm the attorney, and Tanya. I know most everybody knows me here, but some don't. And for the ones that don't know me, I'm Janice Shelton. I have lived here in the city of Hanceville over 40 years. And yes, I'm heartbroken. No one knows I've done this, but I have talked to different citizens and businesses about what they think should be done here with the police department and stuff. I have yet met the first person that wants to see the police department dismantled. I have people said they don't feel safe because the police department's gone because of the response time of the county getting to them. I think it's time that y'all take time, don't make hasty decisions. Take time to sit back and revamp and see what everything is that's going on. Get us a new chief, get the officers. We have good employees here still in the city of Hanceville. Everybody's not a bad person. If you was to investigate police departments and stuff everywhere, you're going to find some corruption everywhere.
It's
where it is, well, that's neither here nor there. I'm going to say one little thing that happened this past weekend, and it's a family member of mine. I'm not going to call her name. That's in the real estate business. And the garden homes up behind Blue and Gray, she had a contract on one with an elderly couple that was from not around here. Well, she got a call this weekend. They stopped the deal because of Hanceville being so corrupt. They did not want to move in a town where there's so much stuff. That hurts me because I do not feel unsafe living at my street. And that's the way people they're saying, they feel afraid and dangerous. I've never felt dangerous and afraid to live at my house. But it is hurting more than just, it's hurting businesses. But that's just one of the things that happened. And I hate that it happened. And I know y'all don't have any control of that. But that's what people on the outside is seeing.
I promise this will be short and sweet. My name is Teresa Rivera. I am a citizen of the city of Hanceville, Alabama. I've lived here close to 6 years, and I moved here on purpose to be a part of this beautiful small town atmosphere. I love living here. I love working here. My recommendation to the board is to simply wait, make a decision, but do research and do research on what other small towns are doing to maintain their police department. I recommend that we keep our police department. Let's keep the revenue in this town. Let's have paying jobs in this town. Let's not give it to Coleman. And that's it. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Daria Sullivan, and I have just recently moved to Hanceville in August of 2024. One of the things that absolutely needs to be addressed before any decisions are made are what are the financial consequences of farming your police department out? If you give it to Coleman, will Coleman put a satellite office in Hanceville? What will the response times be? How long will I have to wait for someone to come and help me? What will happen if there is no police department? What are the alternatives?
Well, let me tell you what will happen if you have no police department. You'll have less people being harassed. You'll have less tickets being issued. Crime will drop because there's not cops there who are doing proactive policing, running around to put people in chokeholds like that woman who was living in her car. We don't need this many cops in our country. We simply don't. And the system currently isn't working. Law enforcement has to come to an end and rights protectors have to ascend. That's what has to happen. I'm telling you guys, I'm busy. You'll see what I've been doing. Not sitting on my thumb. There's things I'm putting together to change this system, and we don't stop until it happens. Period.
Is Coleman the only alternative? Have you looked at anything else? I know you haven't had a lot of time, but the truth is the buck has to stop somewhere.
If I conclude my remarks, I appreciate your time.
No, y'all don't tell them to the
This guy goes off. I think it's so this gentleman right here, he's got a 17-minute speech. I'm going to show the whole thing next.
Very good.
My name is Stanley Sansing. I live over in Edmondson. Tomorrow's the 13th anniversary of when I signed the papers to buy this house. About 6 or 8 years ago, I started asking y'all to help me, and I asked all these police chiefs, Kenneth Nail, the mayor, Jimmy, Mr. Sawyer, everybody, to slow this traffic down on Edmondson. Not a thing. I've also asked y'all and told y'all, stop spending this kind of money on these Barney Fives and what their priorities were. Y'all sat up there and didn't listen to me a bit. I hope y'all listen to that man, and I hope you listen to the grand jury better than y'all have listened to me. And today I called the Alabama League of Municipalities and talked to an attorney named Mary Elizabeth. And she said, if y'all had wanted to change the venue on this meeting to the Civic Center where we could have gotten in and heard and spoke, you would have only had to have a 24-hour post.
Let's get
And
into
that's from the league.
Let's get into this gentleman's video that's 17 minutes long. Grab a box of tissues because this is going to make you cry. This is going to make you cry if you haven't seen this yet.
Good afternoon. Some of you already know who I am. My name is Brian Campbell. I've lived in Hanceville 62 years, and I was a victim of this police department. I will preface my remarks by saying, not one day, not 1 minute in my life have I ever been in any kind of trouble, maybe a speeding ticket. On May the 20th, 2023, I was caring for my wife. Some of you know me. I've known some of you since you were children. I was caring for my wife with Alzheimer's and my disabled daughter. On that day, an incident happened at my residence.
So just so you guys know, public speaking is extraordinarily hard. Maddie, that's what I'm working on. You see what Maddie wrote here, Chili? We need to start organizations that goes from town to town enforcing the Constitution. That's what Constitution Headquarters is all about. That's why I've created it. That's why I'm not live. That's why I'm not auditing cops. I've created some organizations that will help us all in the long run. I'm getting hit right in the wallet. I'm getting hit right in the views and the likes and the comments, and all that stuff is down by like 90%. But I've created some things that will change the system because it creates a unity system where we can all come together. A funding apparatus, a real way to create journalistic endeavors that fund the journalists. I'm telling you, I guarantee you guys, when you find out what I'm doing, you'll see. It's hard to public speak, and this guy's having a hard time doing it. He's really nervous.
Was dispatched. 2 officers approached my home, and I didn't know why they were there. I inquired why they were there, did not get a response, so I proceeded to close the door to my house. Upon doing so, one of the officers took his foot, jammed it in the door, and forced his way into my home. Asked me to step outside. Upon which time there were 2. One of them was very professional. I have told him countless times how I was so pleased with the way he behaved.
So this is the good cop, bad cop game that they play, and this old man has bought into it. They played the good cop, bad cop game. Chevy's in the house.
The other one was the officer from hell. He's not currently on this force because
good cop,
during
bad
all
cop.
this, I prevailed in a lawsuit that took over 1 year and $17,000 of my money to defend myself. That officer hit me from behind, which I can't hardly still walk, with his knee, took me to the ground, and beat me mercifully.
Mercilessly.
My attorneys have the photographs. Coleman Hospital has the records. I was handcuffed and roughed up really bad.
Yeah.
Placed in a police vehicle. It was May, so it wasn't very hot. It was not running. No air conditioning on, but I began to hyperventilate.
Of course.
I'm a 2-time survivor of cancer and a heart patient. While I was in that vehicle, when one of them finally returned to the vehicle, I was in real bad shape. An ambulance was dispatched and the paramedics. Well, the only problem I had was I couldn't breathe. Once I got air, I was fine. I was then taken by the officer who brutally beat me up to Hanceville jail. On the way to the jail, and I was never allowed to explain anything to him. I was never told I was under arrest. I was never told anything till I got on my way. Well, actually, till I got here. On the way, that officer said to me, "Men like you are nothing but pieces of human increment." And that's not the word to use. I was married to my wife 52 years. I never touched her, ever. The incident involved, and I was trying to tell them with her Alzheimer's, she didn't know what she was doing and tried to exit the vehicle while moving. I pulled her back by her hair, and I was so admitted to that. And that constituted, in your officer's opinion, domestic violence.
So if you can't understand what he's saying, what he said there was that his wife of 52 years was ill and tried to get out of a moving car. So he reached over and grabbed her by the hair and pulled her back in, as any good person would do to make sure that their wife doesn't fall out of the car. And they said that constituted domestic violence.
Anyways, and that was all perpetrated by a 911 call where the person hung up. When I got to the jail, my abuse continued. Maybe it's procedure, I don't know. I was handcuffed to a bench right out there.
Yeah.
For 3 hours.
Yeah.
I say this somewhat shamefully, but I'm a cancer survivor and I'm incontinent. And while I was there, I desperately need to go to the bathroom. I've requested from the officer, and the city hall is right down the hall. And I was handcuffed, was denied. I urinated on myself. Then I was placed in filthy rags. And I'll tell you, I've traveled all around this world. And that's no lie. As a buyer for a major retailer, I've been in every country you can imagine. The facilities in this jail, and I hope they've changed, were filthy.
No. That's the average. That's the normal. You get put in a roach-infested, rat-infested dungeon hellhole. Put in the comment section, it's a dungeon. It's a dungeon, and we know it. I was in one for 4 months. It's a dungeon. They give you raggedy-ass clothes that are filthy. You get clothes that are clean from the laundry, they're still dirty. Now we're seeing middle-class white people experience the dungeon. There's a J6er who I haven't got a chance to have a conversation with. I'm going to give you a call. I tried to call you today, but my phone didn't work. I was out of service. But this is the regular, that jails are dungeons, absolute dungeons. And now this man here, he understands exactly what I'm talking about.
For feces on the wall, feces on the water fountain, feces all over the floor. Looked like it hadn't been cleaned in 5 years. Have any of you ever went in that jail and looked at it?
No.
I don't care if you're a criminal, you deserve better treatment than that.
Exactly correct, sir.
I was denied food and water because on the way to jail, I said, why don't you just shoot me and take me out of my misery? I was put on suicide watch.
Oh, yeah.
No food, no water.
No water. What do I always say? They don't give you any water. They go have a cup of water after they beat you up. They go drink some water and tap each other on the back and say, good job, man, good job. Oh, I really punched that old man right in the jaw. You see that? He looked up and I punched him right in the face. And they're celebrating as they drink water as you're hyperventilating in the back of the car with your throat dry.
No, nothing. A kind lady jailer come up and had seen my record. She said, Mr. Campbell, I'll get you some water and they don't have to know. She said, I looked at your record. You've never been in any kind of trouble. I said, yes, ma'am. When I was younger, I got speeding tickets, but that's the extent of it. Long story short, I finally talked to one of the 3 chiefs that's no longer here. This gentleman, chief, was a reasonable man, and I finally got to explain my story to him. And he was very empathetic, and I know it was only my word against your 2 officers. And he said to me, I will make a phone call and see what I can do, because I found out that my stay would be 2 days in jail, 48 hours. And I was charged with 2 felonies, domestic violence and resisting. I was told my bond was $2,000. So they proceeded to put me in that filthy jail. I spent the night in that jail. Next day, the chief did as he said. My magistrate came down. It was a Sunday. I had the money cash on me, $2,000.
Listen to this.
She said, pay your bond, you can go home. I went to pay my bond, and this may be the procedure. If it is, I've never been in trouble. I don't know.
Listen.
But I was told, we cannot take cash on the weekend. So that told me you can't even trust your own police department with cash. But if you use a credit card, we'll let you go home.
What's the surcharge?
Got my credit card. Oh, but by the way, do you council members know this? It's $200 more if you use your credit card. So I paid.
It's $200 more if you use your credit card. They charge you $200.
I'm ready to go home. By the way, by this time I was not allowed a phone call. I was never told anything about my charges. I called my son. Some of you know him. He's an upstanding citizen, was once a manager of LP down here. He's now a private contractor. He said, Daddy, they're not going to let you go home. I said, what do you mean they're not going to let me go home? He said, well, they told me that you're going to be transferred to Coleman Regional.
What?
I said, why? They have you under a suicide watch. You have to be evaluated. So Sunday evening, and believe me, I'm no harm to anybody, and was certainly no threat to those two policemen. Neither one of them could have taken me easily. I'm at Coleman Regional. I'm kept overnight. When the doctors saw my beat up body, they asked me, what could have possibly happened? And I told them, the only good thing that came out of that is the nicer of the two officers was the one who transported me. On the way to the hospital, I said, young man, tell me how you could possibly think that he could think that I was resisting. His exact words, and I'll never forget them, because my wife and my wife was dying then. He said his perception was that you were resisting. I said, you were there. Long story short, it came time for discovery. I didn't know anything about discovery, paid two attorneys. They said, here's what's going to happen. They got to present their evidence, and you can present your evidence. Well, Kathy, and a lot of you know my wife, Kathy, a better woman never was. She was on her deathbed. And I called up my attorney, Johnny Berry, and I said, I'm supposed to be there. He said, Brian, don't worry about it. He said, me and Brandon will be there. You don't have to be there. So I stayed with my wife with hospice. I wasn't there. In the meantime, my wife died. A month and a day later, my daughter died. On the night I was sending pictures to the funeral home, two more Hanceville officers came to my residence to arrest me again. They came to arrest me for bond forfeiture because I didn't show up on that court hearing. My attorneys were both there. They represented me. I paid them well. I'm making these arrangements and getting ready to be taken to jail. My daughter was being buried the very next day. Fortunately, I know Kenneth now. And I wasn't in any shape to call him, but my son Kevin called and he said, look, my daddy, we just lost my sister. You know, he's a good man. Anybody knows him. He said, they just leave him alone? Never told me what the warrant was for, by the way. Kenneth told him, or I don't know if it was Kenneth or who it was, someone later told me the chief told him to just go on and let me turn myself in. Okay, I called my attorneys and told them what happened. I still don't know what the warrant's for. I didn't know it was bond forfeiture. I go on to the cemetery and I buried my daughter. On that day that I buried my daughter, I went to Hanceville down here to this courtroom, and that judge, who was a joke, that sat right there, read me the riot act and told me, had me handcuffed immediately and told me he's going to put me under the jail. You were remodeling, so I sat handcuffed out here in the hall for another 3 or 4 hours. During that time, I was told I was being arrested for bond forfeiture. I said, what bond? They said, well, you didn't appear for the discovery. No argument from my part would be heard because I'm just an average citizen, like all these people here, an innocent average citizen. I was transported to county. I sat in county the night of my daughter, she was buried, sat in county, and was going to be put in jail under no bond, zero, because I forfeited my bond, allegedly. My son knows the sheriff real well and the chief deputy. He called and he said, look, I don't know what's going on. And you know, I'm not going to say my dad's innocent or guilty, but we just buried my sister. And they were told me to disrobe, go take a shower, put me in the rubber shoes, or get ready to put me in the orange jumpsuit. And the desk deputy said, Mr. Campbell, today's your lucky day.
Oh, it's lucky.
And I'm thinking, you just don't know. It's 7 or 8 o'clock at night. I said, well, tell me. He said, you've been released, ROR. I think that's released on your own recognizance. And I was released. We come back in front of this same judge. It continues almost for an entire year at more financial expense. And I'll conclude what I have to say by your police, untrained, uninformed, and you, like the lady before me said, you're the accountable ones. I was a manager of a major retail company, top level, and the buck stopped at me. The decisions to make these people in the roles they're in fall on each of you. Yes. And I ask again, have any of you ever looked inside that jail? And if it's changed, I'm shocked. But anyways, what I have to say don't amount to much, but I got my day and I could say my piece. My son said, well, at least 100 people said, you ought to sue them. Mm-hmm. Well, in the first place, I'm not the kind of man that sues anybody. I've never done anybody wrong in my entire life. I'm a Christian and I believe in treating people Christ-like. Amen. Okay? And I didn't want a pound of flesh, but I never got so much as I'm sorry this happened to you. And Mr. Sawyer, I've known you a long time. Another incident happened, and I had to come to my residence. At that time, you brought the new chief with you on this other issue. I told you a little bit about this story. Your exact words to me in the conversation, what do you expect me to do? And my response was, so help me. If you got a Bible, I'll swear on it. I said, what I want you to do is clean up this town.
Can't do it.
This mess.
Can't do it.
I said, the people of this town deserve it.
Can't
I'm
do
just
it.
one individual. And nobody really cares what I have to say. Imagine if it happened to you, losing your child and your wife, and then being drugged through this crap, and then financial expense on top of that. You know what your response was to me? Do you remember, Jimmy?
I remember exactly the way.
Well, if I'm lying, I'm dying. You looked at me and said, that's why this man right here is the new chief. He is going to clean it up.
Can't do it. You guys don't, and a lot of you guys do because you're diehard members of Team DLZ. As long as we have the term law enforcement, as long as the idea is to enforce laws upon us and not to uphold our civil liberties and our civil rights, then we're going to have a police state, prison state, death state. Remember, like April Rain pointed out, they got an anonymous 911 call that he abused his wife because he pulled her by the hair so she wouldn't jump out of the moving car. As long as we have law enforcers and not rights protectors, you're not going to have a system based on the rule of law. You're going to have a system based on enforcing laws upon people. As long as you have these policies, procedures, and protocols, you can't be a good person. I'm sorry, you can't be. You can't sign up to say, I'm going to stick my knee in the back of your neck. I'm going to cuff you. And then remember what he said in the beginning. I don't know if it's standard procedure, but they chained me to a bench for 3 hours. I was chained up at the Las Vegas Metro Police Department at the Clark County Jail for 8 hours straight. I was chained in chains for 8 hours straight. That's standard operating procedure. And when the guards walk by, you have to turn around and you can't face them and you have to look down at the ground. That's how you treat human beings? You're some sort of protected class? I can't look at you? And this is standard across the country. And then Stephen said, Orange County jails are pretty gross. Well, let me just ask something here for my editors here. We're an hour and 33 minutes into this. Right now, do me a favor. List the county jail in your city, your state, or your county, and tell me, is it a disgusting hellhole? Is it filthy? Is it full of rats and cockroaches? I just want to know, what is the county jail in your house, where you live, in your neighborhood? And let me ask you a question. How clean is it? How are you treated? Are you cuffed to a bench for hours and hours on end? And then is the process of you being booked into the jail brutal, inhumane, and barbaric? I'm just wondering, is it that way in every single jail in America? put in the comment section. I want to know what county jail is where you live, and tell me about the facility where you live. I'm just curious. I want to see if anybody else experiences the exact same thing.
Shit. Shit.
He cleaned it up all right.
Yeah, he did.
And I would have never said another word about this. In fact, my son said, Daddy, don't sue him. You've been through too much. It's going to cost you money. It's going to cost you more hurt. I can barely walk. Close to me. Do you remember, Jimmy?
I remember exactly the way.
Well, if I'm lying, I'm dying. You looked at me and said, that's why this man right here is the new chief. He is going to clean it up.
Shit. Shit.
He cleaned it up all right.
Yeah, he did.
And I would have never said another word about this. In fact, my son said, Daddy, don't sue him. You've been through too much. It's going to cost you money. It's going to cost you more hurt. I can barely walk as it is from the injury to my back from that officer. And I agreed with him after praying a lot on it. But when I saw this nonsense, I said, maybe my story's not good. And maybe they'll put me off as a fool like some other people that have stories. But I swear to God, every word I told you is the truth. One thing I left out. At that time, you had 8 police officers. Because the chief told me himself, you had 8. That day, while I was sitting in that squad car in my driveway, and there's a man in this room that can testify to the fact who's my neighbor. 5 squad cars showed up, 7 of your 8 officers, and you would have thought I was a murderer or a drug dealer. Fact. Then one of them told my neighbor in this room, who I don't know if he's going to speak or not, but that night before I buried my daughter, or the funeral, when they came with that warrant and they left, my good neighbor came over to check on me, see if I was okay. When he was walking through my yard, and if I'm misquoting you, sir, you know who you are? He said, one of them officers stopped me, or I asked him what's going on. And he said, Hanceville, please, we're not through with Mr. Campbell yet. Is that professionalism? I say no. So I conclude my remarks. I love this town. I wouldn't have brought my family here and lived all this time if I didn't. And some of you lived here longer than I have. It just got to have an input to it. If it don't, it's just a continuation of the same thing. And it's happened too many times in my lifetime, and got worse in the last 3 years. Anyways, I conclude my remarks. I appreciate your time. I hope this sinks in. Yes, I'm mad and angry and upset. Put yourself in my position. How would you feel?
Everybody, welcome Danelle Brown. Thanks for coming, Danelle. I appreciate it. Thanks for the memberships. I appreciate that, Danelle. So listen, there's more here. There's more in Alabama that a friend of mine emailed to me. And so I want to show that there's even more. It's not just the scholarship program that they're creating inside of Alabama. They also have created a new bill that makes it so that the cops have more immunity. Besides this, and I'm going to show this one more time. Remember, you're paying for the cops' kids' education in Alabama, right there. Law enforcement program. The Alabama House of Representatives Tuesday approved a bill that would allow dependents and spouse of law enforcement to claim a $3,000 scholarship for post-secondary. HB 188 has to be stopped. $10 million from the Educational Trust Fund to go to cops' kids. Why is that? Why is that? If you're from Alabama, did you know that was happening? Did you know that was happening? Because you should know that's happening, and there should be a stop to HB 188. There should be a stop. And then right here, here's the other bill. Alabama House would expand legal immunity for law enforcement officers. Sorry about that. Let me put it over here. And here is the bill. You can take a look at it yourself. Alabama House bill would expand legal immunity for cops in Alabama. February 27th, 2025. The people of Alabama can stop this. Montgomery, a bill expanding legal immunity for cops, advanced out of the House Judiciary Committee. House Bill 202 would repeal the existing peace officers' immunity. Oh, they're peace officers now. They're peace officers here, but they're law enforcement everywhere else. Create a new form of legal protection. The Back the Blue bill is part of Governor Kay Ivey's public safety package. The bill would shield cops from any civil lawsuits unless the officer was acting recklessly without law enforcement justification or violating someone's clearly established rights. It also allows for criminal protection. The bill would make an officer immune from prosecution for the use of physical force while on the job unless their conduct just violates someone's constitutional rights. I sense that we need the same confidence within cops that they can perform their duties, sometimes at 21 years old, and put them in a situation where within 3 seconds they have to make a discretionary authority decision. I think if my count is right, we lost 4 police officers nationally this weekend. I think this bill is important to ensure that confidence. Said Representative Rex Reynolds. Samuel Hooper with the Institute for Justice says the vast majority of qualified immunity cases do not involve situations where an officer has to make a quick decision. Nearly 20% of them involve retaliation for speech. A police officer or some other government official seeks to dislike someone, when a police officer or some other government official takes a dislike to someone, maybe at a town meeting or somewhere else, they will seek then to arrest you in retaliation. Hooper says the Institute for Justice is very concerned about the bill. He has worries that if it passed, the process of prosecuting the bad actors would be a lot more difficult. What it basically does is it takes the concept that already exists in federal law, qualified immunity, and it entrenches it at the state level where currently does not exist. Already, police officers and other government officials in Alabama have quite significant protections if they're being sued for violation of constitutional rights. This bill, unfortunately, is going to raise that hurdle to make it even harder. Under the bill, both civil and criminal cases, there would be procedures to pause legal proceedings while the officers work to establish that protections apply. It's across the country. I mean, don't you understand? Don't you understand? You can't have these policies, procedures, and protocols and have a peacekeeping force. You have a law enforcing. We're going to enforce laws upon you. And then if they enter into your world to help you out and you don't like the help they're giving you, then they charge you with crimes. It is just so unbelievable. You guys can get my board game coming out in April. Pre-order Constitution HQ. You can have that. It's coming out soon. You're welcome, Trenton. We don't stop. We don't stop. We don't stop. Before you know it, oh, it's happening now. So Kelly here said, before you know it, we'll not be able to post bad police videos. Just wait. That happened this year. The censorship on YouTube is unbelievable. There's a video I want to show you. I want to show you of this dog. Thanks. I haven't seen these. I haven't seen everything. I'm sorry, you guys. I'm looking at stuff and reading stuff in the background. There's Team DLZ, Warren, Team DLZ. Thanks, Warren, for the gifted memberships. I appreciate that, man. Yeti's in the room as well. Chevy, Cope Doggy Dog. Cope Doggy Dog, are you still in the house? And there's Warren with the 5 memberships. Thanks a lot, Warren. I appreciate that. What's the matter? You gifted out 5 memberships. Thank you, guys. Welcome the new members, if you would, please. Welcome to the channel. Delete Laws. I posted Henry's page and got pinned by SuckTube. I don't know what that means exactly, Brandy, but I would like to know more for sure. Steve Conkler's in the room, everybody. A couple more things I want to show you here because I can't do everything I'm doing. So now check this out. If you live in Montana, check this out. Bill would allow strip searches for misdemeanors. For misdemeanors. The bill would allow strip searches of misdemeanor offenses in Montana. there have been escalating safety concerns across Montana regarding the smuggling of drugs into correctional detention facilities. House Bill 605 would try to mend the current strip search regulations. Cascade County Sheriff Jesse Slaughter explained, back in 2013, the legislature passed a bill that basically said, unless we had reasonable suspicion, we could not strip search misdemeanors. Well-intended bill. I fundamentally agreed with it conceptually. I believe that if you do have a very low-level crime, you shouldn't have to be strip searched. However, the criminal element and our criminal organizations in the community inside of our jails have now exploited that. House Bill 605 would allow strip searches of individuals who will be held in a jail or correction facility for more than 12 hours, which is everybody. It'll make it much more difficult to sneak drugs, and it usually takes 12 hours on a misdemeanor where someone goes to the general population. So, like I said, everybody. And let me just explain something here. The people who are bringing the drugs into the jail are the jail guards. The people who are bringing in the drugs are the prison guards. Once in a while, when I was in the Clark County Detention Dungeon, I asked a dozen different guards, how many people do you catch stuffed up their butt? The lowest estimate I got was 1 out of 500. That's 0.2%. But yet you all need to have your butt looked up. Every single last one of you. For a misdemeanor in Montana, you have to have your butt looked up. Don't be stupid. Of course you do. Everybody inside the Cascade County Detention is innocent until proven guilty. Yes, this is an intrusive search technique. I wish we didn't have to be used on misdemeanors, but we don't live in that world anymore. You can't make this shit up. You can't make this shit up. They're finding a reason. It's just so unbelievable. It is such a load of shit. The bill being put forward by Representative George, looks like a Greek last name, Nikolakos. Okay, let's see. Representative, I'll bet he's a Republican. What do you want to bet? What do you want to bet? HB 605 is cruel and inhumane, and there's no justification for strip searching an individual who's incarcerated for a misdemeanor, regardless of how long they're in custody. Our Constitution provides that the dignity of the human being is inviolable. 605 is out of step with our Constitution. Republican. There it is right there. There it is right there. He's a Republican. You know, I identify with a lot of conservative principles, but what you people don't understand, all of you Trumpers who are Trump, Republicans fuck us the most. They take our civil liberties the most. Every gun law, the 1934 National Firearms Act, the 1938 part of the, I'm going to get them confused, but one's the National Firearms Act, one's the Federal Firearms Act, 1934 and 1938, passed by Republicans. Republicans. Every single time your Fourth Amendment stripped is passed by Republicans. Every time your rights, your Fourth Amendment right has been violated, it's passed by conservative Supreme Court justices. That's just a simple fact. That's just a simple fact. So you guys who are all chanting, oh, Trump, he's the best, really? Because last I checked, let me see if I can find it. Everybody's wondering why the Epstein list hasn't come out. How come? Why hasn't the Epstein list come out? How come? How come the Epstein list hasn't come out? Donald Trump named in Epstein files after 2 mystery flights on private jets. There it is right there. Along with Bill Clinton. They're all in it together. It's 2 wings of the same bird. And as long as you support these Republicans and these Democrats, we're going to get the same shit on a different day. It's just going to get worse. It's just going to get worse and worse and worse. These are just the simple facts. I'm just showing you the absolute facts. I'm showing you what's going on in real time so you can see. I'm afraid to show anything else because if I do, then YouTube will age restrict and demonetize my video, and I want people to see exactly what's going on inside of Alabama. Trust me, if they strip searched me, I'd want the footage so I could scare people and make it a horror film. It's just unbelievable. I'm just reading some of the comments over here and seeing what you guys are saying. West Virginia has always done that because they love the brown eyes. Of course they do. It's pig, said Chevy. Listen, you guys, I mean, it's William Eaton. Sorry, brother. I'm sorry, man. There's a lot of people and I'm trying to keep up with everything. And I plan on doing a 15-minute live stream. And I've been here now for almost 2 hours because I wanted to show you guys what's actually happening. Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's just so unbelievable. We're just living in a real disgusting reality, and I'm just tired of it. I'm tired of people believing that Republicans are good people. Republicans strip our rights the most. Republicans give away your rights the absolute most, and that's the plain simple fact. I'm going to show you something here out of, I believe it's Cape Coral, Florida. So let me show you guys this, so you guys, because everything we're doing right now is based on legislation and policy.
An ordinance of the
So check this out. This is out.
Thank you.
Councilmember Long. Thank you, Mayor. First of all, throughout the course of this evening, you've heard what we all do. I want to know what you do because this home is beautiful. I was just going to make a comment, which I think we've already kind of deduced it down to. It sounds like we've straightforward through and found that they've met it, and stuff. Unfortunately, is it? Councilmember Kilrain.
Yeah, my comments were two, really. I wanted to bring out the fact that you built FEMA compliant and you built it within that regime of the FEMA analysis. Also that we're not here to settle, as Councilman Long had pointed out, a civil dispute. We're here just to look at the vacation part of that, and that's what we have to focus on. And I would be supportive of this. Thank you.
Yeah, I guess for me,
Just wait. Hold on a second.
Itself, we do quite a bit of these, and this isn't any different than any other vacations that we've done repeatedly here in the city. So with that being said, I'll support the vacation. With the vacation, looks like all of the structures will meet the setback requirements, similar to what Council gotten out of line of the roof. So that tells me that because most another light.
Yeah, we already.
Long,
Aye.
Steinke,
Aye.
Madam City Clerk.
Okay, so now take a look at this. This is in, I believe it was Cape Coral, Florida, and this was sent to me from Chuck Bronson. And in Cape Coral, Florida, they're trying to say that you cannot record public officials in their duties. And I want to show you guys this. I want you to actually read the ordinance. I'll take my face off the screen so you can read the ordinance right here yourself.
Public hearings, we have ordinance 3-25. Madam City Clerk, please read the title.
Ordinance 3-25, an ordinance of the mayor and city council of the city of Cape Coral, Florida, enacting Article 17, control of access to city-owned, controlled, and leased property, Chapter 12 of the City of Cape Coral, Florida Code of Ordinances, providing for recognition that certain areas of city-owned, controlled, and leased property may require regulation of public access to provide for the security and privacy of public visitors, to provide for the security and privacy of city employees and officials, and to minimize potential disruptions to the work of city government. Providing the city manager or their designee with the authority to manage public access to city-owned, controlled, and leased property. Providing the city manager or their designee with the authority to designate which areas of city-owned, controlled, and leased property are to be considered designated public forum, limited designated public forum, and non-public forum. Authorizing the city manager or their designee to separate designated public forums from non-public forums. Authorizing the city manager or their designee to develop and implement procedures to regulate and control public access to city-owned, controlled, and leased property. Prohibiting the unconsented recording of video and audio within city-owned, controlled, and leased property, except
Listen to it again. Listen to what she says.
recording of video and audio within and leased property. Prohibiting unconsented recording of video and audio.
The unconsented recording of video on any public property in Cape Coral, Florida.
audio within city-owned, controlled, and leased property, except during public meetings, providing for enforcement, providing for codification, providing for severability, and providing an effective date.
Okay, thank you. Mr. City Manager, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll give a little bit of information, and then I know the city attorney wants to speak. Just some way of background. Previously, you all have adopted an ordinance on public camping, setting controls and limits on public camping. This is a companion ordinance that will not address the external, but more the internal of our public facilities that the city owns, leases, and controls. In preparation for tonight's possible passage by you all, I have already met with the appropriate staff and gone through the exercise of identifying which areas would be limited public forums, open public forums, or non-public forums. As a result, we stand by for any questions, but again, this will address what can be done inside the buildings and what expectations member of the general public have once they enter our facilities.
And I'll just add to that. So this is stemming from some federal court opinions that have been issued in regards to conduct of those individuals that may enter a governmental facility and or their property and engage in conduct that is inappropriate or inconsistent, and therefore expose themselves to some type of law enforcement action. There has been a body of federal case law that has emerged that have authorized the designation of certain facilities and the surrounding parking areas by way of whether it is a designated public forum, a limited designated public forum, or a non-public forum, and what can and cannot be permissible for those individuals who may come to the governmental facility and conduct either themselves unlawfully or lawfully consistent with what it is that they are engaging with, which is legitimate governmental business. So what this ordinance does is it does identify the city manager's authority to identify the facility and whether or not it's going to fall within one of those three criteria. But it further also, in fact, identifies facility rules and identifies what can and cannot be done, and therefore putting that out there. So in the event that there is an individual who may conduct themselves inconsistent with the facility rules, it will then grant us the legal authority to take enforcement action, and that enforcement action can in fact yield to an arrest.
The facility rules are that you can't record in the public building, and then that equals that you can be arrested. Look at him with his gold chain Guido. Look at him.
And to avoid any potential constitutional challenge where you may have heard that they have a constitutional right to be there.
We do have a constitutional right to be there, brother. And when the things are done that I'm doing, I'll see you soon.
Or to do something that is in fact not accurate. This ordinance does in fact comply with federal law and does grant us the ability to take that enforcement action without fear of a constitutional challenge based upon that action occurring.
Oh no, you're going to have fear of he said this allows us to take the action without fear of a constitutional challenge.
Federal law, and does grant us the ability to take that enforcement action without fear of a constitutional challenge based upon that action occurring. So that is precisely what this is meant to do, and it does in fact facilitate our ability to ensure that when someone comes here for legitimate governmental purposes, for example, getting a passport or getting a permit, it does not permit someone to disrupt the ability for us to conduct our legitimate governmental business.
I've never heard that tape, Mr. Bones.
And it grants the city manager the ability to identify what can and cannot be identified as a public forum versus a non-public forum. And I can answer any questions if you have.
Okay, thank you. I now open up public hearing. Anyone wishing to speak on ordinance 3-25, please come forward.
Crickets. Then someone comes forward and says, I have some concerns.
Higgins, again, Higgins, for all those out there in TV land. No, I just want to, I'm not saying that this ordinance is needed or not needed, but I do want to urge caution. When we start the city attorney addressed it that we're not going to violate any constitutional rights. That might be true.
It's
I don't
not
know.
true.
I'm not an attorney. But I think we should be very careful when we consider this ordinance because we are really limiting the public's access to video and audio record public property, the property that is owned by the citizens of the
Yes.
city that
Yes.
we pay taxes for. And I think we got to be careful. When we start limiting First Amendment rights, what's next? What other rights are you going to take next? This is that slow travel into that gray area of what's allowed and not allowed, and what's dictatorship and what's freedom. So I think we need to be careful, and we need to consider that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak on citizens' input?
That's it. That's it. That's it. Now they're going to vote to pass it.
Ironically, I just had this conversation with a police officer. You are definitely stepping on people's rights. You're stepping into areas that you have no business stepping into. And you're going to open the city up for some serious lawsuits if you tell people what they can and cannot do in a public building.
That's right. I'll see you guys soon. As soon as I finish what I'm doing, I'll be there.
And I urge you to call the state attorney's office and ask them the rules before you make this decision here.
That's the
Thank you.
only,
Anyone else wishing to speak?
that's it. 2 people in total.
Seeing none, public input is now closed.
That's it.
Is there a motion regarding ordinance 3-25?
Motion to approve ordinance 3-25.
Second. And I'll open up for any council discussion. Councilmember Kadouk.
Yes, so it was my understanding that this is, and please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. City Manager, that this is more as if someone were to come into a public facility and maybe camp out in the bathroom. And I'm just using that as an example.
That's not an
But
example.
What exactly is this ordinance accomplishing?
That is correct. So based on the classification of a non-public forum, limited public forum, or open public forum, there will be different levels of expectations that the public has in conducting business with their government. So for example,
I can tell you this for a fact, Anonymous, believe me, I have nothing against Italians. And if you knew the depth of my comment, you would really understand. I can't go into the depth of that comment, but believe me when I tell you, I really don't have anything against Italian people. But he looked like a gangster with the chain and it didn't look good. Saying, yeah, we're going to go ahead and limit your First Amendment because we can. You know what I'm saying? Just talk to him like this and put a ring on his finger and he's all set. And so, but believe me when I tell you, I'm not prejudiced against Italians. And there are some Italians who will 100% go to bat for me on that. I'll tell you that right now.
camping in a bathroom. If somebody were to come in here because it is cold outside and they wanted to have an expectation of
That's not the same
sleeping in
thing.
the lobby
It's
or
not the same
sleeping in
thing.
the restroom, that would not be allowed.
It's not the
with
same
this
thing.
in place. Without this in place, there is no expectation of limited
It's not the same thing.
freedoms inside the buildings. Right now, it was only external through the public camping ordinance. That is one situation. We could go through a whole list of all but the idea is, what is the expectation of the public when they come in? And consider a non-public forum essentially being anything behind a swipe card. There should be no expectation of anyone in the public to assert a right to get into any area that is behind the swipe card access.
For example, once this meeting is over, this is no longer a public.
Correct. This would be this chamber, the hallway that the public uses to get to it would be considered a limited public forum.
It's not.
Because right now it's open.
It's not.
But once there is no meeting advertised and no expectation
It's
to be in
not.
here, then there would be no ability to get in here. And so that would be, this would be considered an example of a limited public forum where the public's expectation to be in here is limited to a specific use during a specific time.
Thank you.
That is not true.
Councilmember Kilrain.
Yeah, thank you to my two favorite public speakers, citizen commenters. Basically, I went through similar things and was going to ask city manager to give some examples to get a feel for the extent to which this was being applied. And I can assure you that as this goes on, as we engage in that process, if there are issues which come up that are bordering on and teetering on imposition, we'll be talking about it. So trust but verify, and we'll let it go forward. I'm going to be in support of this. And I'm in support of it based on it being executed with the proper judgment. And I trust city management to do that at this point in time. So, thank you.
Of course you do. Your government.
Thank you, Mayor. Yes, I also concur in support of this. And could you just, Mr. City Manager or Mr. City Attorney, this is part of the statute from the governor, right? That stated in that statute about public camping that each
Has
county
nothing
and
to do with it.
municipality would have to create their own ordinances to define it and be able to hold folks accountable and enforce it.
It has nothing to do, filming in public has nothing to do with public camping. It's apples and oranges. Not even. It's broccoli and candy bars.
Correct.
That's separate.
Okay.
That's separate and
Okay.
distinct. So this has to do with the unbridled access of those individuals who may believe that they have certain constitutional rights, but the federal courts have said they do not.
Gotcha.
And
Okay.
because they do not, even though they have threatened and intimidated individuals, this ordinance is meant to address that and protect the integrity of not only the city's employees, but also the individuals that may come to the city to engage in legitimate businesses. And there's been a body of law in that regard.
Got you. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councilmember Lehman.
Yes, I just want to make sure I understand what we're talking about. When on this ordinance, you're talking about record audio and video recording. Say someone wanted to, their family member or their family was coming in to the permitting department or to passports, and they want to video it and audio the whole situation. Is that allowed?
You're talking about in kind of memorialization of them.
Yeah, that kind of situation.
That would be unlikely to run afoul of the ordinance.
No. What about you're using your First Amendment right to be press?
This, in the sense of what this would be, is someone who is coming in and engaging in type of video audio recording for the purposes of harassment, intimidation. Nothing to what it is that you said.
But it doesn't say anything about harassment.
It doesn't need to.
Okay.
It says what we want it to say. See, it says what we want it to say.
Thank you. Yeah, I guess for me, I kind of see this as a tiered approach of accessibility throughout inside the walls of any city facility. And when you take a look at a variety of facilities, whether it's here at City Hall, whether it's our wastewater treatment plants that are fenced off, we have police at those particular facilities. We don't allow the public in certain areas. Shoot, the 8 of us up here, we have swipe cards. We have very limited access, believe it or not, to our facilities.
What a
We have
liar.
a very small area that we're only allowed to go.
What a liar.
So to think that if we can't even go in those areas, that the
What
average
a
citizen
liar.
can walk through the door and go in any office within this city hall or any city facility, to me is just a ridiculous thought. So the tiered approach, as the city manager had outlined, I think determines exactly where and when individuals can get into certain areas. We have our city attorney who has a degree in governmental and administrative law. We have federal case law. So I don't think we have any reason
To call the
our
state
state's
attorney.
to get their opinion, especially when we have federal case law that
Oh, really?
clearly allows us to do what we're trying to do here. So
To
I'll
limit
support
your
it.
First Amendment, I'll support it. Of
And
course he
with
will.
that, I don't see any other lights on. We have a motion and a second on the floor. Madam City Clerk, please. call the roll.
Lehman,
Aye.
Long,
Aye.
Steinke,
Aye.
Donnell, Gunter,
Aye.
Paduk,
Aye.
Kilrain,
Aye.
Lastra,
Aye.
8 ayes, motion carried.
Thank you.
All of
Move on to
them,
Ordinance 4-25, Madam City Clerk, please. read the title.
all of them voted for it, that they can limit your public access. So let me show you guys something here. As you guys know, Constitution headquarters is all about you learning the Constitution and your rights. So let's take a look at the actual case law here. Yeah, I'm with you, Chevy, all the way. I'm with you all the way. So let's see. Smith versus Cummings out of the 11th Circuit, the First Amendment protects the right to record public officials, including law enforcement officers in public spaces. The First Amendment protects the right to gather information about what the public officials do on public property, and specifically a right to record matters of public interest. Although the case focused on recording law enforcement, its logic has been used to public meetings and government proceedings held in public spaces, especially when the meetings are open to the public and cover matters of public concern. Glick versus Cuniff, which was mentioned in my appeal case that got me out of the dungeon, this case reaffirmed the First Amendment right to record public officials in public spaces. Akabuchi versus Boulter. In this case, the court ruled in favor of a citizen recording a public meeting in a local government body, finding no legal basis for the officers to stop the recording. While the Supreme Court has not yet significantly issued a ruling directly on the right to record public meetings, it has recognized the right to gather information about public officials under the First Amendment. See Brandenburg versus Hayes, 1972. There is no direct SCOTUS case specifically pointing on recording public meetings, but the federal circuits, especially 1st, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, and 11th circuits, have consistently ruled the First Amendment protects the right to record public officials at public meetings as long as it doesn't disrupt the proceedings. So what these guys are trying to do there in Cape Coral, Florida, we will overcome it. We will overcome it because I will go there myself and I will take it on myself. I'm not going to put up with it. I have to finish what I'm doing here. But as soon as that's done, you guys, I haven't put any new videos out. I've made a bunch of videos that I've not put out yet, but here is the link to the new channel that I will be putting a ton of videos on. If you guys want to check that bad chicken out, and I will share with you guys. I just put the link in the comment section, and here is the page. If you want to know what it looks like that right there. Constitution HQ. As you can see, we have 2 videos out, and this is from stuff that I did 4 months ago, and I haven't put anything on there yet. But if you guys want to join this channel right here, I'll be putting a ton of videos on there. We're going to keep delete laws going, but as you guys know, there's a really bad shadow ban on this channel. I mean, we barely get 100 or 200 people from this channel. I think there's 158 people on the main channel right now, and then there's another 150 or so across the other channels. So thanks for coming. I super appreciate it. Listen, I give you my word as a human being. All I'm doing is creating stuff right now so that we can fight back. I spent 4 months in that dungeon, and all I did was sit there and think of ways that we can organize better and have a better structure together to be able to change things. Because if we don't create a system of unity where we can all band together, and I made a microcosm of that on teamdlz.com, but really, truly, there has to be a bigger organization. And so that's what I'm working on right now. Constitution headquarters will teach you about the Constitution, about the Bill of Rights, about the 27 amendments, and about case law, as well as presidents and vice presidents and innovations throughout the history of time, and teach your children and you when things happened in the proper format so you truly learn. And I finished this whole game when I was in the dungeon. I also created a way to detain people from the front while in the dungeon that doesn't include pain. So that's going to be coming out. We have to get there. So subscribe to this channel if you would, pretty please. Share with your friends. Go to Constitution HQ if you want to order my game in advance. As usual, you can get trifolds and cop cards on DeleteLaws.com. I'm doubling all orders. If you order 2, I'm going to give you 4. Doesn't matter what you order. I'm doubling all orders on DeleteLaws.com. So go to DeleteLaws.com to get your trifold, your cop cards. Right here is an example of the trifold. You use this when you get pulled over by the police. You invoke your 5th Amendment right to remain silent immediately and don't get caught up by these dirty jackboot thug pigs. Death Angel, first time I've seen you in here. Raddick, a.k.a. Ski, good to see you, my friend. Greg, nice to see you, my friend. Good to see you. Nice to see you, man. JC Strange, what's going on, man? Jody, how are you? Thank you for coming. Jody and Jody, back to back. Jody Gardner, Jody Shillow, nice to see you. There it is right there. That is Constitution HQ. Wanda Meese, always good to see you. Always good to see you. So good to see you guys. Here's the link for that, Radek. And I will, Kevin Brzezinski, I sent off your keychain today. I had 3 keychains left, and now we're completely out of stock on those. OTVO said Small Miracle Garages. Nice to see you, Jake. It's always good to have you in the room. I appreciate that. Listen, Enigma, thanks a lot. Appreciate your support today. Really appreciate it. And I think Enigma was the one who originally emailed me that video of the city council meeting, and then I went through every bit of it, and it was good to see it. You guys can join Team DLZ. I haven't put anything on Team DLZ in a long time. These are what Lane Myers call his shareholders. These are my shareholders on teamdlz.com, people who support what I'm doing, and they realize that I'm never going to stop because we don't stop. I will not stop. I appreciate your support on teamdlz.com. I'm sorry I haven't put a lot of videos on there. I'm actually going to put one on there. There's a video going around of a dog biting a guy's arm that I can't put on Facebook. I can't put on YouTube, China, United States government, so I'm going to put it on teamdlz.com. You should see this dog attacking this guy and ripping his arm off. It's horrible. It's absolutely horrible. Nice to see you, Top Tamale. Top Tamale. Thank you. I appreciate you, man. Artle, nice to see you, man. Nice to see you. There it is right there. Chevy, what's up, Playboy? And then we got Cope Doggy Dog, Greg, Bruce, Mikey B. I haven't seen Mikey B in here today. I saw him last night. Me too. I got to get the flock out of here. Gloria, love you. I'm with you all the way. Butch the original. I'm with you all the way. Dan Hanlon and Danelle Brown, 2 of my favorite people, are in here. Really appreciate you, man. Yeah, there's a horrible video going around. Yeah, I'm going there to Cape Coral, Florida, and I'm going to challenge that ordinance. As soon as these things are done that I've created, I'm going to go there and challenge it. Listen, I've got to get the flock out of here. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I will see you guys on the next one. Later, Gators.